Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Check-In Report, where the party never ends, does it? I am your humble host, True and Living. This is the Check-In Report. Today's topic. Hold on. Today's topic. We have a topic for you. Jim Jones threatens popular Christian rapper by the name of Dee-1. He's talking about hemming him up, slapping him, grabbing his Bible, smacking him with the Bible. He's talking about, threatening, allegedly, Dee-1. So we're here to get into his quotes, and we're going to get into everything that started this whole kerfuffle. Jim Jones, a 47-year-old man in a midlife crisis, he's still throwing up gang signs in the videos, and I'm kind of just befuddled by Mr. Jimmy Neutron, aka Jim Jones, a man almost 50. He's almost a half a century years old, still trying to appeal to the young kids that are out there thugging and bugging. What's going on in the mindset, in the mind of Jim Jones? Is he just going through a midlife crisis? Is he just, a retired, gangster? What exactly, who exactly is Jim Jones? And yes, we will be getting into some, we will be getting into the who is Jim Jones, because, I have a problem with him threatening a Christian rapper. Dee-1, we're going to get into what Dee-1 said, into his thoughts, and, overall what Dee-1 had to say about Jim Jones, Meek Mills, and Rick Ross. But, I just want to say straight off the back, Dee-1 never clapped at Jim Jones. He was articulate. He was very to the point what he was trying to convey. And overall, he was just chastising these men to do a better job, not in, donating shoes, or not in donating backpacks, not in, giving the hood free popsicles every summer, but in actually writing and rapping about things that are more positive to the community at hand. Because that's who Jim Jones has been appealing to his whole career. He has been appealing to the inner city youth, to the dudes of New York City that are in that criminal life, in that gang life. He is appealing to those dudes. And all Dee-1 was trying to do, all he was trying to convey was, you guys are old, you guys should know better, you guys should be preaching a better message. And I agree. So we're going to be getting into who is Jim Jones and why this gangster, because Jim Jones, he's a fake blood. But we're going to get into his life. And we're going to get into the things he said about Dee-1. So Jim Jones, we're here to talk about Mr. Jim Jones, a 47-year-old 9-tray Billy gangster from allegedly, I don't know if he's, I don't know how, I don't know Jim Jones' credential. He was running around with some, top gangsters in that, 9-tray thing, even to go as far as to giving a head honcho in Mel Matrix. Mel Matrix is a head honcho, giving him orders. So we're going to get into Jim Jones's criminal life and his Billy lifestyle. But let's get into overall where this all started. We have to start at the genesis of this whole debacle with Dee-1, Jim Jones, Meek Mills, Rick Ross. We have to start at the top. We have to start at the very beginning of this thing, because this thing does have a beginning, middle, and end. Now, what I want to play is Dee-1's initial comments. I'm also going to play Turk, because he did a He did an interview with Turk, and I also want to play Dee-1's thoughts on because I think a lot of what Turk was saying, not what Turk was saying, but what Dee-1 was saying in his interview with Turk is a lot of things that I have been echoing. It's a lot of things that I have been echoing myself. That Jim Jones is a old head. He's going through a midlife crisis, and we need to get that brother together. So let's play Dee-1's initial comments, right?
With you, Rick Ross, you could do better, brother. Meek Mill, you could do better, brother. I love you.
Shout out to Trenches.
Too much not to be honest with you. Are you the face of prison reform? Cause are you the face of prison reform? Or are you sitting here on your new song with Ross talking about getting somebody murked and shot at the red light? Which one is it, bro? Which one is it, bro? Cause I did a shoe giveaway in my city and gave out 1,300 pairs of your shoes because they said reform underneath them. And I love that you partnered with a major shoe company and you out here pushing prison reform. But now I got to sit here like, man, this man glorifying getting people killed as of a week ago. Like, what are you doing, bro? Lil Snoop really got killed. That broke your heart. You wear him around your neck. Why are you glorifying the same thing when my best friend got killed? When Carl got killed, New Orleans know who I'm talking about. When Carl got killed, and I had to go to his funeral and read the eulogy and be part of the funeral, and I got back in my car, Jim Jones.
And ultimately, that was the end of that clip. But ultimately, what Dee-1 is saying, he's just calling on these rappers that are in their 40s, mind you. These dudes are half a century. He's just calling on these dudes to be better. That's his only gripe. He's not clowning what they're wearing. He's not saying that they haven't donated more than him or yada yada. It's not about donations. It's not about who pulled up to the community with the most Air Jordans, or who pulled up to the community with the most free food, or who pulled up to the community with the free Versace and Gucci wear to give out to the kids. It ain't about that, Jim Jones. It was never about that. But we see rappers like Rick Ross, Jim Jones, continually moving the goalposts. Now let's get to his interview with Turk, because I thought what he said with when he was sitting down with Turk, I thought what he was echoing was a lot of things that I also have been echoing myself. So let's get into his interview with Turk.
And I feel like give him a time in a you know, a little space to grow, because we all have to grow to be a Dee-1
with all
in our speech. You know what I'm saying?
With all due respect, what about when you 47 years old?
Oh, let me hit that bell. Hold on. Let me hit that bell. Let me hit that bell. Let me hit that bell. He said, what about when you're 47 years old? Half a century old, ladies and gentlemen, and still pushing a message of violence, still pushing a message of being in a gang, still pushing the message of I'm the big Billy, Trey. You still pushing that message, Jim Jones. And all Dee-1 was calling was for you to be better, but you don't want to hear it. Shout out to Sinclair. I see you checked in. Shout out to Sinclair, my mod. But Dee-1 was just calling on you to be better. Let's continue.
That don't mean we're grown. That don't mean we're grown. That don't mean we mentally mature. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm 42 years old, you know what I'm saying? And I stand for family. You feel me?
Now, isn't that sad? We got 40-year-old men living in private communities. Let's talk about it, because we're going to get into the hypocrisy of Jim Jones, Meek Mills, Rick Ross. Let's get into the hypocrisy. You have men in their 40s still rapping about the criminal aspect of life. Still rapping about, I got hitters. I'm in a gang. I'm in the lobby. Remember Jim Jones, Mano? Lobby boys. Still rapping about the slums. Still promoting this life, promoting that lifestyle to young kids. But what's going on in Jim Jones' community? What's going on in Rick Ross' community? The community that they live in today. What's going on in their communities today? They're sending their kids to private school, right? They live in gated communities where they tell the colored folk that try to walk around the community, they tell them, you got to leave. You don't belong here. Right? That's what's happening in Jim Jones and Rick Ross's community. But they want to promote the nonsense. They want to promote the poison to the young kids. And Dee-1 is seeing that. And he's calling it out, as he should. And why do we have men in a midlife crisis, ladies and gentlemen? Let me hit my bell. Hit my bell one time. Hold on. Why do we have men in a midlife crisis still promoting poison, the criminality of black life to young kids? And we finding that okay. We finding it fine that they do that. And they always have an excuse. Oh, it's just entertainment. Oh, I got to feed my family. So pretty much, because, these are like the main excuses that they use. I got to feed my family, it's just entertainment. So pretty much you are willing to let the young kids crash out in the community, in the urban communities, in the ghettos. You are willing to allow them to crash out, right? Commit crimes on one another. Ultimately, kids deleting other kids in the community, gang life. You are willing to allow them to fall by the wayside in the name of $1. That's what's going on in the hip hop community. That's what they are allowing to happen. And Dee-1 is just calling on the hypocrisy. Now that we played that, we got that out of the way. We got to play Jim Jones. He did an interview with Sway. We have to get to that. Again, shout out to everybody that's in here right now. Shout out to everybody that's in the clouds right now. We got an action-packed show tonight. But let's get into Jim Jones's thoughts about Dee-1. He was sitting down with his new that's another thing. He was sitting down with the 2 new members of MOB. That's the members of Bird Gang. Jim Jones, he's trying to rebrand the members of Bird Gang brand, after destroying the careers of Max B and Stack Bundles, 2 promising artists. He wants to now rebrand members of Bird Gang with these 2 new guys that nobody cares about. That members of Bird Gang 2.0, it came out. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody cares about it. But let's get into the thoughts. Let's get to what they said about Mr. Dee-1. And we have to talk about this. Let's get into this interview with Jim Jones. I think he did this yesterday.
Struggling at all. You're not a struggling artist. You're not.
Nah. I'm not Dee-1.
What was what did he say?
He not Dee-1.
I don't work for Uber.
He said what?
I ain't Dee-1. I don't work
One of Jim Jones' artists just said that Dee-1 works for Uber.
He said Dee-1. We already there, huh?
Trying to look like him, Sway.
Is that why you brought this? Come on, man. Don't make fun of the guy, man.
I'm trying to look like him.
Now they're clowning on Dee-1's head wrap. Let's continue. All of this smoke because he just wanted Jim Jones to promote a positive message. All of this hate for this brother just because he wanted these men to stop. Like, honestly, and look at his artists. Like, if we really gonna roast here, Jim Jones is promoting 2 middle-aged rappers. Jim Jones, he could be pulling up some of these young kids that's 18, 19, 20. He is trying to put on these middle-aged dudes whose time has passed, who's spoiled, knock-kneed, gut hanging off the waist, middle-aged rappers. And instead of grabbing some young youth out of the streets, seeing their talent and bigging them up, he wants to, promote these 2 middle-aged rappers. But let's continue.
All he said was, you could do, Jim. What did you think? You saw the.
We have what he said.
Shout out to M. Fur.
D2.
What did he say?
Look.
Continually clowning Dee-1. Let's continue.
You look like you got drafted for D4 basketball, right?
These dudes. But what about what he said, though? Is it any?
So Sway asks him, what about what he said? Does it have any credence? So let's get into Jim Jones's thoughts. We're gonna get right into it.
Credence to what is there any credence to what he said about
I
that?
don't care about what he said. That boy don't know me. I know his trick. You know, you're using my name for fame.
Shout out to Pro Surfer. I see you checked in.
It's all good, but you don't know me. You don't know nothing about my life. I do more in 1 month for people than he'll ever do in his whole life. You heard?
Yeah.
Like I really get back.
Now keep in mind how they keep moving the goalposts, right? Dee-1's thoughts, what he said was about Jim Jones, Meek Mills, Rick Ross. It was about them having a better outlook in their music, to stop promoting gang life, stop promoting violence. These dudes continue to go and move the goalposts. They want to make it about who's giving back more, who's doing this, who's giving out the most shoes, who's giving out the most meals in the community, when the conversation didn't start like that. It started over, why are you guys 40 plus continually promoting this lifestyle to young kids? And these dudes, they keep dancing around that. They keep dancing around that argument. I just want to make note of that, but let's continue.
To the people, I don't care about none of the rhetoric he talking about. I grew up in the church. You're not going to do none of that to me. But I really do a lot for the people.
He talked about lyrics.
I don't care about.
Thank you. Sway brings it up again. He's talking about lyrics. They continue to move the goalposts. They keep moving the goalposts. Oh, you're not doing enough for the community like I'm doing. I'm Jim Jones. I got all this money and I'm doing all this for my community. I'm Rick Ross. I got all this money and I'm doing this for the community. They keep moving the goalposts. The whole topic of this whole discussion was, why are you guys half a century years old still promoting criminality to black youth? Let's continue.
About none of that.
See? He just answered. Let me replay that one more time. Do
none of that to me. But I really do a lot for the people.
I do a lot for the people.
He talked about lyrics.
He talked about lyrics.
About none of that.
Boom. There you go. Ultimately, Jim Jones, Rick Ross, Meek Mills do not care about the black youth at hand. They don't care about the criminality that's happening in the inner cities. They don't care about these kids at war with each other. They don't care about these dudes, these young men shooting at each other in the urban communities. They don't care about the funerals. They don't care about the drug problem. They do not care about it. All they care about is lining their pockets. All they care about is using that blood money, because that's what we're going to call it, because they're promoting violence and poison to the black youth. All they care about is that. Shout out to Nelly. I see you checked in. That's all they care about. That's all that, it's all about them making money off the black youth at hand. He said it right out of his mouth that he didn't care about it. Let's continue.
Okay.
In real life.
Exactly, Pro Surfer. He think he's Nino Brown. He think he's the new modern day Nino Brown. That's what Jim Jones think he is. The dude is half a century years old. He's almost 50. He's pushing 50. He got grays and a beard. He's wearing sunglasses inside the building. Grow up, Jim Jones. And the thing what bothers me about these dudes more than anything is that they don't want that type of lifestyle for their kids. Do you think Jim Jones wants his son to be Nine Trey, Big Billy? Do you think Rick Ross want his son on a corner slinging rock? Do you think Meek Mills want his son or his daughter out in the streets of Philly waving that toolie? No. But they do not care about the black youth at hand. And they don't take no accountability here. Let's continue.
Do a lot for the people.
Watch. Continue to watch. Sway asks him about lyrics. Jim Jones says he doesn't care about lyrics. What does Jim Jones do? He goes right back to the topic of giving back. He goes right back to the topic of giving back. Let's continue.
Now let's line up to the statistics. You talking or you doing? You heard? You talk a good one. What have you done?
Yeah.
Jim Jones, what have you taught? What have you taught? Let's get into that. You know, let me just take some time with this one. Jim Jones is a man since the days of Dipset, honestly. Since the days of Dipset, Jim Jones has promoted gang lifestyle. He's promoted gang activity. He has promoted blood. He even spoke about this one time, how he is responsible for people turning blood by way of Dipset, by way of his music and him promoting it, right? So he's responsible. There's blood on his hands and he needs to be held accountable. And we're going to get into the 9 Trey FBI case. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about Jim Jones getting pulled over, right? And them finding firearms and drugs in his car and him not going to jail for it. Him not being brought up on RICO charges when he was caught on a wiretap, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go into Jim Jones here. Is he an agent provocateur? Let's talk about it. Let me hit my bell. Hold on. Is Jim Jones an agent provocateur? Is he here to steer the black youth? Is he being used by the government? Has he cut a deal? Why was he the only one that didn't get wrapped up in that RICO? The man was on wiretap talking about how he wanted 6ix9ine to get caught. He was on wiretap with another gang member talking about an alleged hit. And he goes out unscathed. That's weird to me. Then, you got the case where he gets pulled over, right? They found the firearms, they found the drugs. He walks away scot-free. Has Jim Jones cut a deal? Is he an agent provocateur? Let's continue.
You dig? Yeah. You know how many people I watch get killed that I grew up as my friends and things like that? I don't get scared straight. I stand up stronger and fight for my people and do for my people every single.
What are you fighting for your people? What are you doing to fight for your people, Jim Jones? You rap about gang lifestyle. You throw up gang signs at the age of 50. What are you fighting for? Are you fighting for black kids shooting at one another in the streets of Harlem? Is that what you're fighting for? Are you fighting for on some Harlem stuff? Coming outside with the Louis with the Louis jacket, like Alpo. You know what I mean? Serving dust on the corner and letting black mothers get feed out on the streets. Is that what you're fighting for, Jim Jones? What are you fighting for? Let's continue.
Day. Miss me with the rhetoric about what I do in my music. I get money off my music. Don't tell me how to make my dollars. But what I do for the people, from my heart, can't nobody tell me about at all. And I've been doing it since I got in this game, even before I got in this game. When I was buying my dudes, my close ones, Long John shirts and Scully hats because we didn't have no money on Christmas.
Stop the record. This man is bragging about giving his friends Long Johns and Scullys, ladies and gentlemen. Listen closely. Listen, listen closely to what this man is saying. I'm gonna have to play it back for you. This man is bragging about giving his friends Long Johns and Scullys. Let me play that again.
I stand up stronger and fight for my people and do for my people every single day. Miss me with the rhetoric about what I do in my music. I get money off my music. Don't tell me how to make my dollars. But what I do for the people, from my heart, can't nobody tell me about at all. And I've been doing it since I got in this game, even before I got in this game. When I was buying my dudes, my close ones, Long John shirts and Scully hats because we ain't have.
He's bragging about giving dudes from his community Long Johns and Scullys. Do you hear the ignorance in this dude's whole, conversational piece? He's rapping about giving out Long John sweaters and Scullys while young men are shooting at one another in the New York City communities, in the ghettos. But it's fine that he raps about, gang life and throws up Big Billy and throws up the 9 Trey gang sign because, he gives out Scullys and Long Johns. It's just fine. Hey, you know what, Jim Jones? Let me just end this stream right here. You gave out Long Johns and Scullys. We'll just forget about all the times you threw up the Billy sign and you're running around with the red flag and you promoted it to the black youth at hand. And you promoted criminality to the black youth by way of your music. Let's just end the stream right now. You gave out Long Johns and Scullys. The nonsense that is coming out of this man's mouth. He thinks the little bit that he's doing, I gave out Long Johns and Scullys. I gave out socks. I gave out some top ramen to the projects. He thinks the little bit that he's doing outweighs all of the times he's been running around for years and for decades with a red flag in his back pocket, throwing up gang signs. These kids loved you. These kids immortalized you. These kids wanted to be you. But you're not taking accountability for none of the times that a kid picked up a red flag because he saw you do it. You're not taking accountability. All of the kids grabbing that toolie because he heard that you did it in a song. You're not taking accountability, Jim Jones. Let's continue.
I have no money on Christmas. And that was the Christmas gift. You heard? For everybody. Talk about it. Them Christmas gifts then turn even to way bigger.
Yeah. Long Johns and Scullys.
But that's not what we hear about. I don't like to hear people mention my name, especially when you don't know me. Because that's very touchy.
Yeah.
Sinclair says, why not send them to trade school? We need plumbers, mechanics, but he gives out undergarments. Exactly. He's bragging about giving away some Fruit of the Loom briefs. He's rapping about giving away some Long Johns and Scully hats to the hood. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Imagine having a court trial and you committed some heinous crime in court, and you told the judge, hey, I know that I've been, I know I did this heinous crime, but I gave out Scullys and Fruit of the Loom briefs in the hood. Let me go. Come on, let me imagine that. All the things he did and all the things he talked about in his music, promoting gang life, criminality of black youth. These dudes could have did something positive with their voices. They could have actually changed the community, changed the mindset of the community. But no, they continued to push the poison, and they still can do it. They're still doing it. And I think a lot of these dudes, they're going through a midlife crisis.
You gotta watch whose names you mentioning out here. You heard?
Yeah.
Because my little cousin might not like how you mention my name. You heard?
Now he's threatening Dee-1. Keep in mind, this is a Christian rapper. Dee-1, he never said anything in regards to harming anyone. He never said anything in regards of, any type of, nothing he said was everything he commented on was music based. Change your music, be better. Now Jim Jones is running to the path of threatening this man. Let's continue.
And then he might want to slap a dread out your head just because he don't understand that you're using my name for fame, and he don't understand that.
Wow.
There's a certain way to go about certain things when you're using certain people's names. I'm not promoting violence.
Right.
You just talked about how your little cousin was going to slap a dread out his head. See, that's what I don't respect about a lot of these dudes. All of this energy, all of this negativity, just because a dude told you to be better. And they act like scorned women. Jim Jones Meek Mills and Rick Ross, because they're so defensive about a man asking them to be better, instead of saying, hey man, let's talk, let's sit down, let's have a dialogue, let's have a debate, let's actually do something together. Instead of doing that, these dudes are so defensive, because you know what, in their heart of hearts, Jim Jones knows what he's doing is wrong. He knows that he promoted a lot of nonsense to the black youth. Rick Ross, he knows he promoted a lot of nonsense to the black youth, but instead of taking ownership, instead of realizing, you know what, he has a point, they are taking the path of, you know what, I'm going to be defensive. Because a lot of these dudes are going through a midlife crisis. Jim Jones, he's going through a midlife crisis. Let's talk about it. He's going through a midlife crisis. He's still throwing up gang signs at 50. Let's talk about it.
You know?
Say that.
I'm just saying that when you do certain things, it's a reaction for every action.
It's a reaction for a dude to tell you to be better in your music. We're not talking about let's go through the things, right? Dee-1, he didn't talk about your kids. He didn't talk about your kids, right? He didn't offend you in any type of way. It's not like he's like talking about what you're wearing or how you look, right? He didn't do any of these things. He talked about the content of your music, what you're promoting, what you're talking about on those records. And you have an issue with him so much that you're going to get someone to smack a dread out his head. That's what you said verbatim. This dude is a clown. Jim Jones is a clown. Let's continue.
Yeah.
And you don't know who loves me to the death that they don't want to hear nobody mention my name in no type of ill light on no type of social media.
Nelly says that's a shame. He's too old to still be gangbanging. Exactly. The man is half a century years old. He's 50. Oh, he's almost 50. And he's still throwing up the Billy sign. Most men at his age would say, you know what? You know, it's time for me to clean up my image. It's time for me to move smarter. It's time for me to, you know, to promote, you know, the positivity to the black youth. I mean, you got to think, man, I've been listening to Dipset since I was in middle school. Since I was in middle school. And from that point, so think about that. I'm 34 years old. From middle school to the age I am now, this man has been promoting gang lifestyle, gang activity, violence in the community. Think about all those years. That's almost 15 years that he could have been promoting something positive, something good. But no, he chose to promote the most negative aspect of black life. Exactly. He is granddaddy. You see the gray in his beard? You see the grays in his beard, but he continues to promote the nonsense. M. Fur says, he says, miss me. Man, mine and his father will keep the same energy, and then then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Exactly. He's speaking from the Bible, man. That's the word of Christ right there. He's speaking truth right there, you know? Because let's be honest, what Jim Jones is promoting is debauchery, violence. He's not promoting anything of righteousness. He's not promoting anything, you know, the things that Jim Jones is professing and talking about are antithetical to what the Bible is professing. But, you know, they want to dance around that in the name of entertainment. They want to dance around that in the name of, you know, an incentive of making money off of black youth at war with each other in the communities. And it's sad to see that this middle-aged man doesn't want to take accountability, because remember, he continues to dance around the topic of his lyrics. He still has not addressed the lyrics. He kept going back to giving out money, giving out items, giving out food, giving out, you know, clothing. He doesn't want to address the lyric. He doesn't want to address the lyrical content and what he's been promoting for years.
Or anywhere like that. You heard? Mm-hmm. I got a family, right? He got a family, right? He wouldn't want nobody mentioning his name in no ill light. Now, if you want to have a
Jim Jones, he didn't mention your name in a negative aspect. He didn't throw dirt on your name. He didn't say Jim Jones needs to get slapped. He wasn't like you on a wiretap talking about, you know, getting someone murked. You was on wiretap doing that, Jim Jones, you hypocrite. He wasn't like you talking about he was going to slap the kufi off a dude like you did with Mace, right? That was you. He wasn't doing that. You did that. All he did was talk about lyrics, and you so butthurt. You so in your feelings and butthurt because you know what you're doing is wrong.
Conversation, it was a way to go about doing that.
What's the best way?
And can I also address the whole topic of, because rappers, they love saying that. I think I saw Rick Ross say that, or Meek. One of them said that as well. The topic of there's a way of going about and doing this. You know, there's a way of, you know, you could have reached out to me. You could have reached out. You know, you could have talked to me. You could have DM'd me. You know, I think that's a bunch of baloney. I think that's a bunch of malarkey. You know, these they'll say that, but a dude like Dee-1, who they like, let's keep note of it. Every time they talk about this dude, they said he's a struggling artist. They disrespect his career. They disrespect his achievements. So if you have no respect for this man, right? You have no respect. You don't respect his rank in the music industry. You don't respect his achievements and what he's done. So why should we believe that if he reached out to you by way of, you know, DM, or he reached out to somebody in your team, that you would respect it, that you would take the call? So, you know, these rappers, they love saying, you know, he should have reached out to me. He should have DM'd me. He should have did this. But in reality, you know, you know, Rick Ross, Meek Mills, Jim Jones, you took in every opportunity to disrespect his career. You took in every opportunity to disrespect his achievements. So why should we believe now that if he reached out to you, like you said, that you would have respected, and that you would, you know, take a meeting with him, that you would sit down and talk with him? I think that's a bunch of baloney, that when they say that, if you don't respect him, now, what makes us think that you would have taken a meeting with him? I don't believe that. I don't buy that.
Okay.
It's out now. It ain't no best way to have a conversation. He got to see me when he see me now.
See, now he's going by the way of threatening. He's continually to threaten this man. This is a Christian rapper, ladies and gentlemen. This is not no gangster rapper. This is not no dude talking about trapping. This is not no dude talking about he's on the corner, he's in the projects all day rapping about he's in the projects all day. This is not that type of dude. This is a Christian rapper. He started out with saying in love. I got love for you, Jim Jones. I got love for you, Rick Ross. I got love for you, Meek. I just want you guys to be better. I want you guys to promote positivity. And Jim Jones is now on an interview with two middle-aged rappers. Jim Jones is 50 years old, talking about how they're going to put hands on Dee-1. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at right now? What is going on? What is going on? Utter nonsense. Let's continue.
Okay.
You heard?
If he reached out,
He had the chance. He could have reached out.
See, like, that just really works my nerve. I hate when they say that. Because if you don't respect him, you don't like honestly, they started this interview with dissing him. You know, one of his little middle-aged rapper friends, Jim Jones' rapper friend, middle-aged guy, he puts this weird hat on his head and he says, "Oh, I'm Dee-1." So you started the interview off with disrespecting him, right? And then you called him a struggling rapper. He's struggling to pay the bills. You know, you said that he had to use your name to get some clout, right? So if all of these things, if these are all the things you feel about him, right? Just because he told you to do better in your music and to promote some positivity, I think it's safe to say that if he reached out to you in a DM, if he reached out to somebody in your team, that you wouldn't take a meeting with him, that you wouldn't, you know, sit down and talk with him. So stop with the whole, he could have reached out, he could have reached out. No, he couldn't have reached out. This is the only way he would have got your attention. This is the only way. This is the only way. And we got to stop with the narrative of, oh, he didn't have to use nobody's name to get his message across. If he didn't use anybody's name, nobody would be talking about him. It wouldn't be a factor. It wouldn't be a topic. It wouldn't be trending. It wouldn't be a message that people felt convicted to talk about. So we got to stop with the, oh, he shouldn't use people's name. Use the name, especially if they doing what they doing. If you see somebody doing something wrong, say something about it. Talk about it. Let's continue.
That avenue of talking to me is out.
That's out.
You heard?
Yeah.
I would have loved to have a conversation with that young man to enlighten him on certain
That's a false narrative. That's a false narrative. You don't respect him. He ain't gangster enough for you, Jim Jones, right? In order for a rapper to get a meeting with Jim Jones, you got to be throwing up gang signs. You got to have at least 4 felonies, you know, or you got at least, you know, you got maybe like Drake, you got to go platinum a few times. That's the only way you're gonna get a meeting with Jim Jones, or you're gonna get somebody to reach out to Jim Jones for you. That's the only way. You ain't taking no meetings with Dee-1, Jim Jones. Just stop it. Don't lie to the public. You don't respect this man. Just say it. Like these are the ones, the rappers, you know, the Meek Mills and the Rick Rosses. They are the ones faking it. They are the ones faking it because they keep saying, "Oh, he could have reached out. He could have did this. He could have did that." But in reality, it's like, dog, stop lying to the general public. He couldn't reach out to you. This is the only way he could have got your attention. And if he would have made it a blanket statement where he wasn't necessarily talking about anyone, nobody would care. It would have been yesterday's news. It would have came and went. But the fact that he put a name on it, it's a factor. It's a topic today.
things. When he was mentioning my name, I had the same conversation with Farrakhan.
We got 10 people in here. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Again, we got 10 people in here. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's continue.
How did that go?
He summoned me.
So Jim Jones says Farrakhan summoned him after speaking his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
If you know now what you're talking about, young man, let me school you to what you're doing. You heard? Mm-hmm. And he told me I once said things about certain people that I wish that I didn't as I got older.
That's what.
But Jim Jones, you're on this interview talking about slapping a Christian rapper. Like, so I clearly you didn't take heed to the message, because you're over here threatening a guy, holding his, remember those little Bibles that only had the New Testament in it? It was like small little Bible green. Dee-1, he just walk into, Sunday service with his little small communion Bible, green Bible, small Bible, and you're gonna have one of your goons, slap a dread off your head, off his head. That's what you're talking about. That's what you did. You threatened the guy. So obviously you didn't take any advice from the minister Farrakhan, who I'm sure you wasn't talking crazy about him, because they will, them NOI cats will run up on you with them bean pies and slap the taste out your mouth for talking crazy about the minister. But I mean, I just think it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. You're really threatening a guy, wanting you to do better, wanting you to rap about things that are positive in the community. Shame on Jim Jones.
The honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
After schooling me to a whole bunch of other things that he was schooling to me at that time when I had that meeting, he opened my eyes to a lot of things.
Would you be open to a conversation?
No.
Prior. I'm talking about like
M. Fur says you can't school someone that holds more understanding than you. Exactly. What is Jim Jones gonna teach Dee-1? Dee-1 isn't rapping about, clapping somebody at the club. He's not rapping about throwing up gang signs and keeping it Billy and non-Trey. How are you going to enlighten Dee-1, Jim Jones? You're a washed up gangster. You're a washed up gang member. Let's talk about it. We're going to get into 9 Trey and that whole federal indictment. We're going to get into that very soon. This is just, hold on.
if an artist wanted to talk to you about
100%. You got in touch with me, somebody to call me like, yo, got this kid want to have
make sure y'all smash that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Shout out to Nelly. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel.
Conversation with you think is very important and shit like that. And we have a conversation, and afterwards you have a conversation and you can tell people about
salute him first. Salute
about the conversation we had and where it went. You heard, but I don't think he went about it the right way, especially not talking about like people like Rick Ross and Meek Mills and the platforms that they have that they've been helping people with. Like, I watched Meek Mill go through so much shit in this industry, including going back and forth to jail numerous amounts of times because whatever was going on.
What does that got to do with D1's message? They continue to move the goalposts. Anybody that's watching them closely, listening to what they're saying intently, they can realize that he continues to move the goalposts. He's now talking about what Meek Mills went through in terms of prison and, yada, 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 trying to get out of prison. What does that got to do with the overall message of his music? Before Meek Mills went to prison, he was rapping about dudes getting clapped at the light, people getting shot at, and yada, 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 all types of gang activity and violence. When he got out of jail, he was rapping about the same stuff. That's the issue. That's the problem. That's the thing D1 was talking about. No one is addressing that. They're walking around it continually.
On with was in Philly and things like that, and on top of that, he came back out on top like a champion and started to do things for others that can't afford to help themselves in these type of situations. How could you ever talk bad about people that's doing these type of things?
Because you're promoting violence to black youth and you're not taking accountability, Jim Jones. That's why. They're not mad at you because you're doing these things and then you're not giving back. It's not about giving back. It's not about you giving out 100 backpacks in Harlem. It's not about you giving out 200 Air Force Ones at the Dykeman game to the kids. It's not about you pulling up to the school and and handing out pizzas to all the kids. It's about you promoting positivity, using your voice for positivity. Stop promoting gang life to black kids. Change up your music. Change up your image. You're 50 years old. You're half a century. Put that in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. The man is almost half a century years old. He's still promoting gang violence. Still, promoting being in the gang. Wisen up, Jim Jones.
If you want to have a conversation with them, have a conversation with them. You talking about Rick Ross. Rick Ross has helped so many people and put so many people on how to become a businessman, how to become a business owner. I watch him share that.
So why aren't we seeing more of that? Why don't we have a whole album? And don't say it can't be done. Don't say that Rick Ross can't make a whole album of giving people business ideas and giving people positive messages, because we've seen rappers do it. We've seen Jay-Z do it. We've seen Nas do it. We've seen other rappers do it at a high level. So don't say it can't be done. It can be done. But you dudes, you're not taking the blueprint. You're not taking that, you're not looking at Jay-Z's growth. You're not looking at Nas's growth. You guys still want to be Tupac. Tupac been going for over 20 something years. And you guys are still promoting the thug life. Still promoting the drug dealer life. It's time to grow up. It's time for you to get out of your midlife crisis, Jim Jones. It's time for you to get out of your midlife crisis. Put down that red flag, Billy, and wisen up.
Well, if I watch him share that game, like, I admire the way he hustles. I see where he goes. That boy don't let no money slide. Like, these are people you should look at, and you could see by the example that we've been setting. Okay, yeah, our music is rough. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, your music is promoting negative aspects of life, criminality of black youth. It's not rough. It's promoting, and the sad thing about it, Kids look up to these kids. I mean, kids look up to these men. Kids look up to Rick Ross. Kids look up to Jim Jones. I was a kid that looked up to Jim Jones, right? But he's been waving a red flag for 20 some odd years. When does the man put down the red flag and say, you know what? It's time for me to be a man. It's time for me to, and I'm not saying he doesn't take care of his kids or he doesn't do things that are indicative of being a man. But when do you promote that as a way of living? You're promoting gang lifestyle as a way of living. You're not promoting Jim Jones, the father. Jim Jones, the businessman. Jim Jones, the clothing, connoisseur. Jim Jones, the businessman, the man that, that works a 9 to 5, that works on his, the entrepreneur. Jim Jones. You're not doing that. You're promoting the Billy. You're promoting 9 Trey Jim Jones. Red flag out the back pocket, Jim Jones. I'll snuff you for saying something crazy about me, Jim Jones. I'll have goons come get at you, Jim Jones. That's what you're promoting to the youth. So don't run around here like honestly, just be honest with, the youth at hand. That you are just profiting off of black on black violence. You are promoting, war between black men in the inner city youth. That's what you're promoting.
Grew up in rough places. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about these rough places, we talking about
Jim Jones. That's another thing. The whole, we grew up in these rough places. We grew up in the hood. We grew up in the, the slums, and I had to sell crack and yada yada yada. I was in the hood with the toolie. Jim Jones, you've been rich for the last 15 years. Rick Ross, you've been rich for the last 15, 20 years. Meek Mills, you've been rich for the last 10 years. What are we talking about? I hate that explanation. I hate that explanation. We come from these harsh communities. That's why we rap about this. We come from these these slums and the ghetto. We're from the ghetto. We were gangsters. We were this, that, and the third. Dog, you've been rich for the last 15 years. You've been wealthy for the last 15 years. Your kids go to private school. They've never even been to your community that you grew up in. Your kids grew up in a gated community. They go to private, There's kids in your community. They got your neighbor's daughter out there with a lemonade stand, gated community, police waving at you. You waving at your neighbor. He's mowing his lawn. Hey, Mr. Martin, how's it going? Hey, Jim Jones, how's it going? I heard the new song. 9 Trey Billy, love it. That's what these dudes are promoting. Stop with the coonery. Stop with the nonsense. Stop with the flim. Oh, we're from the community and we were gangsters and we did this and we did that. Dog, you ain't been in the Harlem projects, living there in 20, 25 years, man. You ain't, like, when do you grow up? When do you blossom, right? When do you blossom, right? From the caterpillar to the cocoon to the butterfly. When do you excel to the butterfly? He's still holding on to the cocoon. He's that butterfly still holding on to the cocoon. Oh, I gotta keep the cocoon. I gotta stay with the cocoon. I gotta promote the cocoon. He's already excelled to high places in his life. Big home, gated community. He's providing his kids with a great life. Why is he still promoting the cocoon? Why is he still finding that okay? Let's continue.
Things that we went through so you don't have to go through it. Mm-hmm. You heard? A simple person.
Sinclair says he's a part of the Homeowners Association.
To understand that.
Oh, man. He's a part of the homeowners association. Yo, that's crazy.
We're not glorifying what we're talking about. These are things that we really went through. And yeah, it is music. So in a bit of music, you do get you get what you get, you heard? But we're still in the entertainment business. And if you listen to any of my music...
Shout out to Antoine Levine. Shout out to you, man.
My music,
make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel.
It's heavy on the spiritual side from the moment I made an album on my way to church.
Yeah.
If you know anything about me, and I've been battling with my demons and my sins from the moment I've been born. So how you dare you talk about another person that's really trying to help people out here and help themselves at the same time? And you don't know my story, nor do you know what the message that I'm preaching out here. So
let me stop you right there. Jim Jones, On My Way to Church. On that whole album, you rapped about throwing up gang signs. I think that was the album he had, Certified Gangster. Let me do my check on that. Let me check that out real quick. Let me go to that album. Jim Jones, On My Way to Church. I'm on Apple Music right now on my phone. I just want to make sure I'm not bugging out, because I think that's the same album he had Certified Gangster on. So, like, what are we talking about? You have this internal struggle, like you was rapping about. You had the, the Holy Spirit. Some, like, dog, the whole album is you rapping about, Certified Gangster, On My Way to Church. I'm looking right at it. You had Certified Gangster on this album. Capo Status. Let me read some of the names of these songs, because he's talking about, I had this internal struggle. Oh man, it was like, am I a gangster or am I on my way to church? Right? This is what he just said, right? I had this internal struggle. I was battling these demons and the spirituality and yada, yada, yada. Let's read some of the names of these songs that he's battling, right? Capo Status, track 2. Number 3, Only One Way Up. Number 4, This Is Jim Jones. Number 5, Let's Ride. Number 6, Certified Gangsters. That's a good jam. Number 7, Jamaican Joint. 8, End of the Road. Number 9, Shotgun Fire. This is the dude battling with an internal struggle, right? This is what the dude battling. Crunk music is on here. This is Gangster. Capo Status. Like dog. Bend and Stretch. I remember that song. Bend and Stretch. That's like when I think that's the track that he was copying Mace on. But what internal struggle were you having on this album, dog? The whole album is you rapping about, shooting and violence and gang violence, and what internal struggle were you having, Jim Jones? I'm kind of confused on that. Well, let's continue.
You dig? And I don't even want. I'm mad I even gave this any flow, because now he's gonna have a chance to go back and forth. Because I don't really care. You heard?
Okay.
But miss me with the bullshit. You heard? When you see me, keep your hand down. You heard? Where you from? New Orleans? Don't play with me like that. People from New Orleans already called me. You heard?
See, he's still threatening this man. He's still threatening this man. This man is a Christian rapper. He's treating this dude like an op. He's treating this dude like an op on the block. Why does he have all of this smoke, all this animosity for a man that just told him to be better? It's like I'm just confused. All this man told him was, dog, you need to be better. You need to, promote positivity in your music. And he just went straight on the defense. Like, honestly. You know what this is? You know what this is almost like? You know what this is almost like? It's almost like, you see somebody in your community, right? You see somebody in your community, and let's say an old lady's walking across the street, and you see the person, and they walk up to the old lady, and they shove the old lady, right? So they shove the old lady, and you go up to the guy. Hey man, why'd you shove the old lady? Why you do that for, man? You got to be better than this. And then, and when you confront them and say that, they just spit at you, right? That's what that's like. Instead of, realizing that, I'm bugging out. Why am I shoving this old lady? Why am I doing this to this old lady? Why am I violating this person for? Instead of, you go straight under you straight under defense. I'm gonna spit at you for even confronting me for doing this. Yeah, I know that what I did was wrong, but I don't care. I'm gonna spit at you, and I'm gonna shove the old lady tomorrow. That's essentially what he did. He doesn't want to take any accountability for what he did. And that's the problem with Jim Jones, Meek Mills, and Ricky Rose.
You preacher, get out of here.
I'm told to.
What was that?
Now they're calling him a snitch.
King?
He told? So we ain't gonna get into that. I just want to heat him up.
Okay.
Now they're calling him a snitch. Think about it. They started this off with dissing him, right? They dissed him. They clowned him. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, because you know I can hit the replay button. It all started with Dee-1 saying, Jim Jones, you need to be better. Stop promoting violence to the community, right? They went to, keep in mind, this is what they're mad about. They're mad about that, right? They started the interview dissing him, right? Clowning his appearance, right? Then Jim Jones goes into threatening him, right? Right? Now they're calling this man a snitch. All of this because Dee-1 told him you need to be better. Stop promoting violence to the community. And you wonder why rappers, they don't want to, be political. They don't want to talk about things that are more political. They don't want to change up the message because you got guys like this. You got guys like this that are complacent and being middle-aged dudes in a middle-age crisis, gangsters in a middle-age crisis. Because you got guys in the community doing this. You got young men and that trying to come up that probably want to give a good message, that probably want to promote positivity, that probably want to change the perception of rap. But you got these dudes in a midlife crisis still running the game, still running around the game, complacent, with black youth shooting at each other in the hoods. We got 15 people in here. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, if anybody that's in here, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is the check-in report. Make sure you're checked in. Let's get back to the video though.
Yeah, of course.
Now they calling them basket heads.
No. We got other things we could go. But listen, I'll say this.
He look like he sell chew sticks on 2/5 by the 4 trade.
Come on, let's not.
Antoine Levine says, exactly. Jones and his feelings. Yeah, he's butthurt. He's butthurt. Jim Jones is butthurt. He's like, honestly, the dude is butthurt. Like, honestly. Take some accountability, Jim Jones. You know you wrong. You know your kids grow up in a gated community. You know your kids go to private school. So why is it okay to promote violence to our kids? Why is it okay to promote gang lifestyle to black youth in the inner city? You don't want that for your kid. You don't got your kid running around the private school with a red flag hanging out his back pocket, but it's okay for the other black youth in the neighborhood to do it. That's what these dudes are doing, and they calling it out. Shout out to Florida Kid. Shout out to Florida Kid. You write LMAO, long johns and beanies. All three of them. You say Lord Johns and beanies, all three of them don't let their kids act gangster and they send them to the best private schools. Exactly. Shout out to Reese. Yeah, Jim Jones, man, he bragged about giving his friends Scullies and Long Johns for Christmas. I don't know if y'all saw that, but I mean, Jim Jones bragged about giving his friends Long Johns and Scullies. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous that he bragged about giving his friends Long Johns and Scullies. I wish people could use that in court. when they get convicted for, crimes or something like that. When they've been convicted for a crime, they can sit in front of a judge and say, listen, judge, I know I committed this crime, but I gave out Long Johns and Scullies to the hood. Let me go. I wish dudes could do that. I really wish that was feasible. I wish that was, that dudes could do that, can sit in front of a judge and say, I gave out Scullies and Long Johns in the hood. That's what Jim Jones actually said out his mouth. I was befuddled when he said that. I was confused. I gave out Long Johns and Scullies in the hood. I give back. Nonsense, man. Absolute nonsense.
Let's not do that. Come on, Jim.
It's cool,
No, but let's say what I'm saying is, I'm glad you addressed
bro,
it.
he's not. Let's not even talk about it.
Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Again, make sure y'all like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's continue.
I don't even know him.
Let's move on.
I don't really care about him. He's a figment of my imagination. Like, he's really nothing. I only mention that because he mentioned my name for fame, and you don't know nothing about me, or do you know my story? And we don't know nothing about you, young man. So for you to try to get in the game that way is wild. You heard?
Well, let me say this.
I've seen people reprimanded for less. I promise you.
Yeah,
niggas will wrinkle your shirt for way less than that.
Yeah.
You heard?
I will say he's been putting in work for years.
Yeah.
And he's been all over the country.
And that's it goes back to what I said, right? Earlier he said I would love to sit down and talk to him, but look at the way he's disrespecting him. We never heard of you. We don't know who you are. Blase, blase, blah. Like, dog, just because you don't know who somebody is, just because you're not full, up to date to who a dude is, like, dog, a lot of people haven't heard of him. That doesn't mean he's not doing work. That doesn't mean that he's not popular in other places. Like Jim Jones, you're not popping in all the places. If I asked the kid right now, if I were to walk outside right now and ask a 13-year-old kid, who's your favorite rapper? They would probably say NBA Youngboy, Dirk, Drake. If I asked them, hey, do you know Jim Jones? Jim Jones? Who's that? So, we got to stop with the, nobody knows him and yada, yada, yada. Listen, man, a lot of people don't know a lot of people. A lot of people don't know Dipset. A lot of people don't know Jim Jones. A lot of people don't know who Dee-1 is. Like, stop with the whole, like, Jim Jones, you haven't had a hit since Pop Champagne. So we got to stop with the, nobody knows you. He's working just like you. He's out there working just like you. So to disrespect him like that is nonsense, and we got to stop with that. We got to stop with that. And you were the same one saying you would love to have a conversation with him, you would love to sit down with him, but this whole interview you disrespected him, you threatened him, you said you was gonna slap dreads, you said you're gonna have your little man's or your little cousin slap the dreads off his head, right? And then your middle-aged rapper friend that's sitting next to you called him a snitch. It's ridiculous. Stop it.
Talks to kids.
Obviously not working for him because he's using other people's name.
We got 20 people in here. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all like this video. Again, we got 20 people in here. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Let's continue.
Doing something from his heart, he shouldn't use nobody else's name. If you've been outside doing that work, then you didn't need to mention my name. Do your work.
That's it.
He is doing the work. Just because he mentioned your name, Jim Jones, I don't understand. Dee-1 never said he was going to slap fire out of Jim Jones. He never said, oh, you look like a weirdo, Jim Jones. Or why your beard gray? Or he never commented on your braids. He never talked about anybody in your family. He never talked about your girlfriend. He never talked about none of these things. He didn't call you a snitch. All he did was tell you to be better. And you threatened him. You called him a snitch. You clowned what he was wearing. You the one who committed all these, these raw acts of aggression against him. I mean, like, honestly, all this defense because somebody told you to be better. Grow up, Jim Jones. You're in a midlife crisis. Still thinking you're big bad Billy. Stop it.
I don't want to go back and forth. I just want y'all to know he's done work. He does work in a different area.
All right, keep doing work. You heard?
Okay.
Leave me out of that. You heard? I promise you, leave me out of that. I'm scared.
And salute to Sway for letting it be known that the man does work. Because I hate, like, honestly, just because you don't know somebody, just because, like, the man does work. Like, he really tried to downplay the man's work. I mean, the man, he does work. He's out there. He's preaching the gospel. He got a rap career. He said he used to be a middle school teacher. I mean, he's done work. So let's stop with we don't know him and yada yada yada. Like, we got to stop that. Jim Jones, you haven't had a hit since 2007. So I don't know where you on this high horse. Like, we don't know who Dee-1 is. Just stop it, man. Just stop it.
That bothers me. I don't want no problem. I don't want no drama. I don't want you to mention my name because I don't want no drama. I don't want to get attitude because you mentioned my name for no reason. I don't even want to get into that.
Okay.
I start glitching and shit like that. You heard?
I see you moving your phone.
Somebody pray for that young man. You heard?
Yeah, you want to threaten Christian rappers because they want you to do better. Yeah, you start glitching. Yeah. we remember what you said to Mace when he just all Mace said was I remember that interview he had with Mace, Jim Jones, and he threatened to smack Mace's kufi off, and Mace didn't even have that energy with him. Mace was like, God, please look over Jim Jones, look over him. And Mace is just saying, God, please look over Jim Jones. And Jim Jones had all this smoke for him. He's talking about he gonna smack his kufi off and all this other stuff. It's like, dog, all of this anger, like, for what?
For real.
I'm gonna pray for everybody too.
Put your hands on him and pray for him. He
Jim,
needs
you
prayer.
got
He got that. Yeah. Antoine Levon says Jones do-rag mighty zesty. Yeah, he got that purple Power Ranger do-rag. He got that activist colored do-rag, that purple rain do-rag, Prince sashaying around.
CD, man, look at
I'm glitching in here, you heard?
Nah, but you just gotta, if that's your lane, push your lane. You ain't gotta use nobody's name, though. I'm saying if I'm doing,
we gotta stop too with that. You don't gotta use nobody's name. That's just, if he didn't use nobody's name, nobody would be talking about it. Nobody would, because if he didn't put a name on it, it would have never got the hits. It would have never got into the algorithm. He had to put a name on it. He had to put a name on it because he's just calling out the nonsense in the community. He's just calling out the nonsense in the hip hop community. And it's time for somebody to stand up. Somebody has to stand up. Somebody has to talk. Somebody has to do something.
Something in my lane, I'm not gonna say, well, this person need to do this. I'm doing it.
That's King Streets.
Antoine says Jim Jones zesty. Yeah, he got that purple rain do-rag, man, he should have got on this interview with the ruffles too, with the ruffles and the purple rain jacket Prince had on. Should have came on here the interview with the do-rag on. That would have been tight.
Show me what you ever done for somebody that was down on their luck and needed some help with their rent. Show me your food roll. Show me how many people you feed during the week. Show me something, bro. Show me something, bro. You better go to my hood and ask what I do for my people in my neighborhood, bro. And I'm not.
Yeah, you gave out some hand-me-down clothing. Rick Ross talked about it. He said Jim Jones, he just gave out $500,000 worth of clothing. Yeah, you gave out a bunch of clothing that you don't wear. You probably gave out a bunch of old BB Simon belts, some jean chains, some biker chains, some Gnostic. Remember the clothing brand Jim Jones had? Some Gnostic crew necks that you wasn't gonna wear them anyway, because the clothing brand is no longer, it's defunct. That's what you gave away. You wasn't giving away. I know one thing. You wasn't giving away them Louis V. You wasn't giving away them Louis V stuff. You wasn't giving away no Gucci. You wasn't giving away no Balmain. You wasn't giving away no Balenciaga. You was giving away the stuff you don't wear no more. Stop it, Jim Jones. I gave away all the stuff. You was giving away stuff you don't wear.
I just do
he had a couple platinum FUBU sweaters in the back. Oh yeah, I used to wear that back in '97. That's what you threw. You gave that away. You ain't giving away you wasn't giving away no designer brand stuff like that. You was giving away stuff you don't wear, and it was a tax write-off. That's another thing. Let me talk about that for 1 second. Because these rappers, they love talking about how I gave away this, I gave away that, I did this, I did that, I gave 200 backpacks to the hood, I gave away all this clothing to the hood, I came through. Dog, all of that was a tax write-off. That was a tax write-off. You wasn't doing it out of the goodness of your heart. You wasn't doing it because you got love for the community. You wasn't doing it, for some type of, pure positive gesture. You did it for a tax write-off. Because you made a certain amount of money. You need things to itemize. You need to tell when you do your taxes, you need to tell the taxes, yeah, I made this much money, but hey, I gave this much back, right? So we got to stop with I did this for the hood and I did that for the hood. A lot of that stuff you wrote off on your taxes. Because I know when they went to get the taxes done, I know they brought that up. I know they had a documentation that they gave away. I gave away this amount of clothing, right? I gave away this amount of backpacks to the community. I did all these things for the community. I got the documentation. Let me add that to my taxes this year. Dog, you itemized all these things. You wasn't doing this you didn't pull up to the hood, unbeknownst, just, give out all these things and just say, hey, I really care about you guys. I want to just give out some stuff to you guys. I want to look out for you guys. You didn't go up to those project buildings individually and, and knock on the door and, give those single black mothers, $700. Hey, pay your rent. Hey, pay for this week's groceries. Hey, you didn't do that, right? You didn't do that. You didn't pull up to the school one day and just, I'm the principal for today. I'm gonna buy all the kids pizza. Hey, I'm gonna take all the kids to Disney World. You didn't do that. You pulled up, gave a few backpacks out, and guess what? When you went to the store to buy the backpacks, you kept the receipt, you took it to the tax people, and you itemized all those things you brought. Stop it. Stop the cap. Stop the cap.
From the heart, you got me very upset about this, bro. Let me know what you do besides preaching to the people, bro. You heard? When you want to do something positive and do something for the people instead of talking, holla at me, bro. Y'all got me up here early in the morning.
This gonna make his day, though. You ain't gotta keep going. This gonna
got
make
me fidgeting and shit like that.
Jim Jones, man. Give that man a round of applause, man. I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate you speaking your truth. That's important. And I just never knew you had.
Antoine says he gave $5 tees and Canal Street jeans from African street stand. That's what he was giving away. He probably gave away a couple Ed Hardy shirts, couple True Religion jeans. Couple
OCD,
remember the biker chains he had on the jeans. He probably gave a few of those away.
And I didn't know.
don't forget the Long Johns and the Scullys.
All right, and we here to celebrate this new project that's out now. Jim Jones, he didn't come along. He brought Dice Peso with us, and he also brought King.
Shaq, Sinclair says Shaq completely upgraded our girls and boys community. See, the thing about Shaq, I respect Shaq because you could tell when Shaq does it, he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart. Like Shaq would literally, he talks about it. Shaq will literally walk around Walmart just one random day and just, hey, somebody just walks up to him. He's like, hey, I'm gonna buy all your stuff you need. I'm buy your groceries. Or I'm gonna buy, you need a washer set? I'll buy you a washer set right now. Like, Shaq actually does it from the kindness of his heart. Like, these rappers, when they talk about, I give away this and I give this away, like a lot of this stuff that they talking about, it's all stuff that they claim on their taxes. It's not like random acts of kindness. It's stuff that they're itemizing. It's stuff that they bring in documentation to a tax man and say, hey, I did this for the community. You know, maybe, you know, you guys can write some, let me write some things off. Let me itemize these things because I made this amount of money. That's what's going on. Scarfo says, I disagree. Because honestly, if he really wanted to get in touch with Jim Jones, he could have easily DM'd him on Twitter or Instagram. But this man chose the other route. You know, let me read that one more time. Scarfo says, I disagree because honestly, if he really wanted to get in touch with Jim Jones, he could have, you know, but Jim Jones is saying that. Jim Jones is saying it's not Dee-1 saying that. Dee-1 didn't say that. Jim Jones said that. Jim Jones said if he wanted to get in touch with him, he could have DM'd him. But in my opinion, I disagree with that because Jim Jones doesn't respect him. Dee-1 isn't a platinum selling artist. Dee-1 isn't throwing up the 9 tray in the videos. He's not on Jim Jones' radar because he doesn't, wave a red flag or isn't selling platinum records. So Jim Jones, like, honestly, if Dee-1 would have went in Jim Jones, if he would have went in his DMs, I don't think Jim Jones would have cared. I don't think Jim Jones would have even looked at it. So, I mean, I think that's a false narrative that Jim Jones would have talked to him or reached out to him or, if they would have had a meeting because Jim Jones doesn't respect him. He had to say his name. Ultimately. But in terms of Jim Jones, man, like, honestly, the dude is nuts. And I want to get to Dee-1's, because Dee-1 did post this interview. Dee-1 posted the interview. We have to get to that. Scarfo says, never seen a person get shamed in public and say, okay, you was right. Exactly. He did, with Jim, listen, Jim Jones, I believe Jim Jones knows what he's doing is wrong. I believe Jim Jones know in his heart of hearts that what he's promoting is wrong. That's why, because, they say, only a hit dog will holler, right? Only a hit dog will holler. And you saw all the defensiveness. You saw all the anger that came out of Jim Jones' mouth. It was all vitriol. It was all, oh, I'm gonna threaten you. Oh, I'm gonna make fun of you. Oh, you a snitch. All of it was defensive. And they say a hit dog will holler. So we have to look at that. We have to analyze that. We have to. It's of critical importance. But this is Dee-1's quote. He wrote this because he did put this interview up because he wanted to talk about this. And this is what he wrote. Because he posted the interview. This is what he wrote. This is serious. Watch in full. We just watched the whole clip as well. These are some of the highlights. Possible threats. So he's noting that he was threatened. He was threatened multiple times. And he was called a snitch, right? These are some of the highlights, possible threats, warnings, insults, and other things spoken on. Once again, this is a pivotal moment in hip-hop history, and we need to make sure we come out better because of it. I'll be back shortly. So pretty much he's just noting that Jim Jones, he threatened him. He's all defensive. He's mad. He's aggy. He had the big bad Billy, in his feelings that night. But ultimately, Jim Jones, he's in a midlife crisis, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Jones is in a midlife crisis, and we have to talk about it. Why did he find it okay to clap at a Christian rapper? Like I said, let me say it one more time. Dee-1 never called Jim Jones a snitch. He never called him, ugly or weird looking or, whatever. He never disrespected him, right? He never disrespected him in terms of his image or nothing like that. He never, talked about his family. He never said anything about his kids, his girlfriend, the way he lives, where he lives at. He only talked about the messages that he pushed in his music. And by saying that, and by talking about that, by saying, chastising Jim Jones in the messages in his music, Dee-1 was threatened, right? Made fun of, and called a snitch. Keep note of that. All Dee-1 talked about was his music and his messages. Dee-1 got threatened. Verbatim, Jim Jones said he can get one of his little cousins to slap a dread out his head, right? That's one. He was called a snitch. One of his midlife crisis friends, I was sitting next to him, called him a snitch. So we got to keep note of that. And they made fun of him the whole thing. They called him a struggling rapper. I never heard of him. What does he accomplish? Yada, 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 right? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Now, let's get into the big bad Billy, Mr. Jim Jones, right? Now, let's talk about this for a second. We have to put this up real quick. Jim Jones and Mr. Daniel Hernandez, right? Daniel Hernandez. We have to talk about the big bad Billy and what he promotes to the kids. This is a prime example. The whole thing with, 9 Trey, it's been well documented. Keep in mind, when 6ix9ine joined the ranks of 9 Trey, right? And I also want y'all to realize something about that whole 9 Trey case, right? What I want y'all to realize, because when people talk about that case, they always look at 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine was the snitch. 6ix9ine was the snitch. 6ix9ine, but in reality, there were snitches already in 9 Trey. Look it up. CEO Chris was a high-ranking member in the 9 Trey, right? So when people talk about 6ix9ine being a snitch, did he snitch? Yes, but in reality, there was dudes snitching on him already from day one. So in reality, they brought him in a gang with a bunch of snitches, right? Now, in terms of this whole 9 Trey thing, this was a prime example of Jim Jones promoting, because think about it, what we're talking about is promoting gang lifestyle and negative aspects of black life to the general masses and to the youth at hand. Now, look at this man. At this current time, in this picture that I got posted up here, you got a man who's in his late 40s, throwing up gang signs with a man half his age. Most people would say, listen, young man, you're not really about this life. You're not really a blood member. I've only known you. I don't know you. Actually, this is the first time. I think that this might have been the first time he met him. But I don't really know you like that. I'm not gonna be throwing up gang signs in the camera with you because that's like, come on, dog. Like, and I don't think you're really about this life. And what does Jim Jones do? He says, no, I don't care about that. We're gonna throw it up in the sign. We're gonna throw it up in the camera. We're gonna let the world know that I'm a man in a midlife crisis, 40 years old, ladies and gentlemen, and we're gonna throw it up because we're big bad Billies. We're 9 Trey gangsters. And the result of doing that, a whole gang Rico came down. Everybody went to jail. 6ix9ine went to jail. Mel Matrix, Shotty, Harvey, all these men went to jail. Who didn't go to jail though? Some of you guys, I'm sure y'all following me. Who didn't go to jail? Who didn't go to jail? Jim Jones didn't go to jail, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Jones, he found some type of way, some type of leeway to get out of there. Shout out to J-Mo, shout out to Ulysses. But he found his way out of there. How did he do that? How did Jim Jones keep his behind out of jail? is Jim Jones an informant? Is he not only an informant, is he an agent provocateur? Is he an agent provocateur? Did he cut some type of deal with the feds? Because I find it very peculiar that he was on a wiretap, right? Talking about getting someone hit, didn't get put in that RICO. I also find it very weird that he got pulled over with a firearm and some drugs in the car, and he didn't go to jail. Find that very peculiar. Does Jim Jones have a get out of jail free card? I mean, or did he pull out a Monopoly card out of his back pocket and give it to the prosecutor? Like, how did he get out of all these things? How did he get out of a gang federal RICO with all his friends? I'll pull it up. Hold on. Let me pull up that gang RICO. Hold on. We're gonna pull it up. Cause he don't know who Dee-1 is. He don't know who Dee-1 is. He don't but we know who Jim Jones is, right? The big bad Billy, right? So we're gonna get into Jim Jones here. The trial of 9 Trey gangsters, ladies and gentlemen. A federal crime. A federal trial, actually. Now, what I want to do, let's go to the list of co-defendants, right? Because, I was just wondering to myself, where was Jim Jones? You got Mel Murder here, you got Shadi, you got Fu Banga, you got Ish, you got Tekashi, you got Trippy, you got all these men here. Where's Jim Jones? You were on a wiretap talking about getting someone clapped. Not only were you on a wiretap talking about getting someone clapped, like, you've been throwing up 9 Trey for the last 20 years. Why wasn't you in this RICO, Jim Jones? That's very weird. That's very peculiar. I just wanted to note that. Because he's running around here. He's still running around with the red flag, and Jim Jones, there's a lot of mystery to his history. If you ask me, a lot of mystery to his history. The big bad Billy. But Jim Jones, you were wrong for disrespecting that man. You was wrong. You had no reason to disrespect. If you're in here, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, if you're in here, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. But Jim Jones, you were wrong for what you said about Dee-1. The man is a Christian rapper. Like, he's a Christian rapper. He's not rapping about selling work. He's not rapping about, on a corner selling dust. He's not rapping about he's in the middle of the street with the toolie. He's not rapping about waving around a red flag. He's rapping about Christ. He's rapping about the glory of God, man. He's running to the studio with the little Bible. Remember the little Bibles? I brought it up earlier. The little Bibles only had the New Testament in it, the green ones. He's running to the studio with that in his back pocket. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. But for you to get on an interview, you're ignorant behind, to get on an interview talking about how you was going to slap the fire out of him. Slap the dread out of his head. Verbatim. Clown him. Disrespect what he's done. His achievements. Make fun of how he looked. I think that was just totally distasteful. As a 50-year-old man, when you get older, you're supposed to be making wiser choices. You're supposed to be, you're supposed to be the OG. When you see a young head, if he felt like he was honestly, if he felt like he was the old head in the situation and he was the younger man, and maybe he needed this, guide the younger man and just tell the younger man, hey man, there's a better way of doing this. He should have chose that path. But you know what, Jim Jones, no path he took? He took the path of a younger man. As a man that's almost 50, Jim Jones, he's acting like he's 13. He's acting like like a younger rapper would. No growth. No maturity. No maturity. No maturation. That's the word I'm looking for. No maturation for Jim Jones. Just a 50-year-old man in a midlife crisis with a red flag in his back pocket. And it's sad to see. And it's disgusting to see. And it's time for Jim Jones to, it's time to wake up. Sinclair says the bandana thong in a bunch. Yeah, you got that bandana, you got that bandana, bandana thong. He's all mad over nothing. Mad because a man of the cloth told him, listen, man, you need to be better. You need to do better. And I don't find nothing wrong with Dee-1 and what he said. And I think Dee-1 should continue to put the pressure on him. Continue to talk about him. Because get that message out there. It's of critical importance to do so. But I want to shout out everybody that came out tonight. I want to shout out all the mods. Shout out to Sinclair. Shout out to Nelly. Shout out to Reese. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat this evening, man. I just had to come in and talk about Jim Jones, still living his midlife crisis, thug fantasies, man. The man is delusional, man. Shout out to him, man. He needs to do better, man. But make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, man. Of critical importance that you do that. I want y'all guys to have a good night. I hope you guys have a productive and great week coming up. Salute to everyone. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. We out of here, man. This is the check-in report. Make sure you're checked in. Let me hit my bell before I get out of here. So critical importance that I do. I haven't hit my bell in a while. But yeah, man. Hope you guys have a productive and a good week this week coming up. We out of here, man. Check-in report.
Welcome to the Check-in Report. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel today.